We are taught to trust the system. We are taught that the people on the other end of a 911 call are the ultimate safety net. But what happens when the person directing the police is the one breaking the law loudest? On paper, they never should have worked. Khalil, a Middle Eastern man with a felony conviction, was rebuilding his life at a chaotic fast food job. Evie, a Middle Eastern American mother and police dispatcher, the literal voice of authority. But behind closed doors, opposites collided in a shared lifestyle of smoke and shadows. Within months, Khalil moved in, bringing his baggage into the life of Evie and her timid young son, Heyman. A bizarre dynamic emerged. Khalil was the convicted felon, yet he was completely outpaced by the woman holding the government paycheck. Khalil would buy a dime bag for himself. Evie would buy the exact same amount. But before the night was over, she would smoke her entire stash and half of his. The next morning, she would wake up, put on her uniform, and go to work coordinating the city's police force. Khalil had been around the game for years, but he had never seen anyone consume like this, let alone a law enforcement employee. To counteract her own erratic habits and deep anxieties, Evie weaponized domestic control. She demanded total compliance, forcing Khalil to clean every day without exception. If he disagreed with her while driving, she would abruptly stop the car and force him out into heavy traffic. The fragility of the household shattered during a weekend visit when Khalil brought his two young daughters, 11-year-old Jade and 5-year-old Anila, to the apartment. At 11 p.m., the house was quiet. By 11:30, Evie demanded Khalil wash the dishes. When Khalil asked to do them in the morning to keep the peace, an explosive argument erupted. By 1 a.m., driven by pure spite, Evie ejected a father and two young girls out into the freezing night over unwashed plates. Desperate and stranded, Khalil called Luna, a woman he met through work. Luna didn't hesitate, welcoming them into her home. That night, the full weight of Khalil's trauma poured out. He confessed the deepest horror of his time with the dispatcher, the physical and psychological abuse of young Heyman, a dark-complexioned Indian boy. Evie would terrify the boy, assaulting him if he said the wrong thing. When Luna asked why he never turned her in, Khalil's answer exposed a terrifying reality. Who do you call when the abuser is the police? Evie's daily confidants were the responding officers. To the department, she was a trusted colleague. Khalil was just a convicted felon. The system would protect its own. Determined to be a father to the baby daughter he and Evie now shared, Khalil sought official visitation rights and paid child support by the book. He kept returning to court to see her. Months later, Khalil and Luna were driving down 14th Street to pick up his youngest daughter. Khalil called Evie to let her know they were arriving. Moments later, flashing red and blue lights filled the rearview mirror. An officer claimed Luna made an illegal turn, letting her off with a warning before turning his attention to Khalil. The officer took his ID back to the cruiser. When he returned, the trap was sprung.
Khan, did you know you had a warrant for flagrant non-support?
Before Khalil could process the words, he was handcuffed and placed in the back of the cruiser. As he sat in the plastic back seat, his eyes locked onto the glowing police laptop on the dashboard. Glaring on the screen was Evie's address. The specific timing, the cop waiting exactly on 14th Street the moment they called. It wasn't a coincidence. Evie had weaponized her career, her co-workers, and the database she managed to orchestrate his arrest. The woman who outsmoked a drug dealer had just used the scales of justice to tip the balance in her favor. But then, Evie alleged Khalil had touched their daughter inappropriately, even testifying under oath. Later, a court-appointed psychologist determined the child had been coached, and the court fined Evie $500. Afterward, some of her relatives shamed Khalil around town, unaware she had lied. Remembering how Evie abused timid young Heyman, he chose not to force rigid visitation. Instead, he would call and keep gentle contact, determined to shield their daughter from further physical abuse.